Hello. I have post-crying face, but that is okay. I want to talk about axis of Cancer Capricorn. Because we're in Cancer season, we just had a Capricorn full moon, and this is a confronting polarity for me to admit, because it touches my 12th house and my 6th house. And honestly, like, all the planets usually go through my 11th house and my 5th house, but my houses that are ruled by Cancer and Capricorn are my 12th and 6th house, whatever. So I deal with the shadow parts of myself and like the service and like patterns and routines and human, like it's a confronting place because you can't avoid what you are in the most real and the most raw ways. And the thing that I have been crying over this morning is emotional immaturity in others, and realizing that the only way that I can be that affected by the emotional maturity in others is because it hits the emotional maturity in me, and I become triggered into the very state that I am the most frustrated and afraid of in other people. And that state is being in so much pain because you either feel victimized by your life circumstances or you're just at the mercy of your emotions. So there's not even a bar of awareness in you to check how you treat others. And it's the thing that I am scared of. It's the state that I am scared of the most in others and myself, because it's the state that I'm hurt in. I'm hurt by others, and I find myself feeling so wounded by that state in others. And it's also the state that I've hurt people the most in. Like, my background with this emotion is that, like, I can identify the times in my life where I have been so hurt that I've either, like, knowingly lashed out and said awful things to another person because I know it's going to hurt them. Or, like, if I have to flip back to just being in the depths of my depression when I was like 11, 12, 13, and just saying awful things to my mother and family, like, just knowing that in those states I had no room inside of me, and like being in that state where there is just absolutely nothing else but your pain that is in you, and you're like sorry it isn't even like, it scares me how blind I become to anything else but hurt and pain. And I can do some of the things that I will usually say things that I look back and I am so ashamed of. Because there's a humongous part of me that because it's my shadow, I view this part, I can rarely view this part because it's like the part of me that I rarely see. I see it more in others than I see in myself. And so when I see it in others, or if I cop it, if I have to receive that in others, my immediate thought is, who are you? Like, who are you to think that you could treat me like that? Or who are you to think that you can treat my friend like that? Who are you to think that just because of the way you feel, you can walk around the world saying and doing whatever the fuck you want? Like, how dare you? It's that very lower Capricorn response of judgment and a cold and harsh dismissal. And that's the majority of my interaction that I'm conscious of with this like state of being of I'm in so much pain, I am the victim to my circumstances. All I care about is myself, and all I know is myself and my feelings. I don't even know what I'm saying or what I'm doing. Who cares? I'm in pain. So I'll project that pain everywhere. And I've had a bit of a thing. Honestly, like, I work in healthcare, right? Like, I'm medical administration, and I was at work this week and I was on my period. And so a victim was meeting other victims. Not really. But I was just sensitive. I was on my day 1 and my day 2 when I was at a job, meeting people who, for the most part, if I'm honest, and it's the reason why I take that job, is that it fulfills the service need in me, the need in me to be of service, the need in me to feel helpful to others, whether it's in a conversation or booking an appointment or being able to help someone last minute or like whatever. And like, you have your moments because you're dealing with people who are often unorganized, often in deep states of need. And like, I fluctuate from being like, from having all the spoons, from having all the compassion of being able to be like, okay, I can help you, and I can help you. And then you fluctuate when you kind of just like, and it also does depend on like the state of the people that you're meeting. Like, if you have somebody that's not only in a state of need, but they're in a state of demand, and they're in a state of, again, it flips back to this kind of Cancerian thing. It's this thing of, well, I'm in a situation of my own making, and I need you to now solve my problem. Sometimes you meet people like that, and resistance comes into you, and you're like, I don't like how you're asking for my help. Fuck you. Anyway, that's just working in healthcare. This week and this morning, I found myself not at like the lowest point of compassion fatigue, but just at the at a balance of me being like, I'm hurting. Like I feel as just like mushy as the people that I'm talking to on the phone, you know, like I'm not like compassion burnt out, but I'm at a similar wavelength. So I'm kind of like, babe, you need help, I need help, I'm in pain, and I'm talking to you and I'm fixing your problem, and you are being rude to me, you are speaking to me condescendingly, you are swearing at me, you are raising your voice at me, you are scoffing at me, and I'm just a girl whose insides are ripping themselves to shreds, and I'm clutching onto this hot water bottle for fucking dear life, and I don't want to take this. And I had a big cry this morning just about how unfair it feels to have to just take that. Because at work, you're not allowed to like, you know, you just got to do your job. You're not allowed to like snap people into reality and be like, do you hear how you're speaking to me? You're not allowed to say that stuff because it's not going to help. It's just going to escalate the situation. But I just found myself needing to cry this morning about how at the mercy of it all I felt, and how I just couldn't seem to navigate a way out of this feeling and out of this predicament, this like constant pattern of just being like, how come you get to yell at me and you get to swear at me, and then I have to do my job, and then I have to get off the phone, and then I'm hurt, and now your seed of pain is planted in my heart, and I'm growing resentful, and I am getting upset, and now I'm made to feel this way. And I was just sitting on the floor crying about how unfair it all was. And then I was getting really exhausted by my own emotional immaturity. And that might sound harsh, but I'm kind of going to go into it, which is like, it's what I'm kind of understanding is not my only, but like the way that I can grow past this like cycle. because I realized that it's not, yes, it isn't fair that people lash out at me. It isn't fair. It isn't right of those people to be in pain and disrespect others. That's not right. But I also I am responsible for my own emotions. Like Cancer, Capricorn, emotional responsibility, that's the axis that I identify it as. And I'm responsible for my emotional reactions. I'm responsible for taking care of my emotions. I'm responsible for taking care of myself. And in these interactions, my own emotional immaturity is coming out, because I am allowing the pain of others to take root inside of me, and how it's transmuting and how it's channeling is into a lower form of Cancerian. It's transmuting into, well, it's not just transmuting, it's getting into me because I don't have any emotional boundaries. And then it's transmuting into victimization, and it's going into resentment. And that's the channel that's currently flowing in me, or like that has been currently flowing in me. And that's the loop that I continue to feed into. Yes, on the other side of that phone or on the other side of that glass is somebody who doesn't have any emotional boundaries, because they can't hold themselves and they can't hold their emotions. So they're allowing their emotions to dictate their words and their actions and how they behave in everyday life. And they are choosing to speak in either sometimes violent ways or vindictive ways or condescending ways or like manipulative ways. And that's all happening and that's all pouring into me. But I'm also then allowing that to dictate and become my emotional state. I also lack emotional boundaries. I also then just allow that person's behavior to dictate mine, because then I receive that and I allow myself to receive it, and then I allow myself to be twisted into exactly what they are. And I feed into that cycle. It's their emotional maturity mirroring back the level of emotional maturity that is within me. And we are the same. And I can get off the phone or I can go out the back and I justify it by being like, how awful is their behavior? Like, that is not right. And I justify myself into the same victimized place that person's in. When like I can kid myself into whatever, but it's just disempowering at the end of the day. And I can see myself, like on reflection, I see myself just meeting these people at the lower vibrations of like the Cancer, Capricorn. Like initially my response is to be that cold, judgmental, dismissive, and detached Capricorn, just to be like, fuck you, fuck your pain. How dare you treat me like that? How dare you think you deserve to like walk this earth acting and treating people like that just because you're hurt? Grow up, be better. And then I create myself a little corner just to be like, woe is me, oh, I'm so hurt now. Where it's like, okay, no. And then it just continues. And then it gets exhausting, you know? Because you're just in this pattern, you're just in this loop of continuously attracting that behavior and then becoming that behavior. And there's just a point of your soul that just gets trapped. That's just like, aren't we sick of this? And yeah, you get sick of it, and then you get sick of it, but I just go, oh, I'm just sick of those people. I'm sick of these people that are in pain, that are just can't have boundaries and can't hold themselves and can't blah, 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 blah. But what I'm really sick of is me allowing myself to be brought to the very same state. And it is, I'm allowing it. Because I'm not stepping into those higher forms of Capricorn and Cancer, which is what I've identified, which is what I need to do, which is identify Capricorn, which is identify, no, it isn't right that that person speaks to me in that way, but that's their stuff. They are over here, I am over here. I know that I don't deserve to to be spoken to that way. I know that I don't deserve to be treated that way. So I'm going to either end this phone call, I'm going to step away and I'm going to take some space. And I'm going to know that I don't need to sit in this situation. I don't need to actually deal with anything past the point of me disconnecting from the situation, because it's not my job. And that's not the mess that I need to involve myself with. And I lovingly hope that their situation gets resolved, and I know that I have helped them as much as I can. I've gotten the appointment, I've sent the message to the doctor, I've done what I'm using the work examples because it's the most frequent, it's the most recent one that I can think of, but I'm going to do the most that I can in service to this person, because that's what I care about. At the end of the day, that's something that I know morally is what I value. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to know that that's the end of that situation, and I'm going to cut myself off there. And if they said something that's really hurtful towards me, I am going to go. I'm going to take an action to go and do something to remove myself from the situation. I'm going to take care of myself. So that's that, aligning with my values, taking responsive and responsible action, and gaining perspective, which is something that I often see that earth signs can sometimes be pointed as like narrow-minded or like headstrong, but quite often earth signs like can talk very well with air signs, air signs can be the ones to have like a wider perspective. That's a strength of theirs. But like being able to be practical and being able to be pragmatic and being able to have that perspective of a situation that is, I see everything and I see the moving parts and I see what's happening right now. I think that's a very earth sign way of thinking. And I think that's also the part of Capricorn that I want to welcome in more, is like seeing what is going on and seeing what parts of the story is theirs and what parts of the story or interaction is mine, and being able to be like, okay, let's separate the two and go on and move on. Let's deal with the situation and then move into the next one. And the next one might be where I have to take care of myself emotionally and where I need to step up into that higher form of Cancer, which is, it's where I've been having the biggest issue with, because I've been trying to figure out how to step into that. And again, my own emotional immaturity has been surfacing, because I will go to connect emotionally with this situation, and the way that I've initially gone about that is to go, you just need to be understanding of the pain that this person's in, and you need to like unconditionally absolve them of their behavior because of how they feel. You need to meet them with the level of, it's okay to do whatever you're doing because you're in pain. And when I go to do that, I feel resistance. I feel like a block come in of like, no, we're not doing that. And then I'm like, okay, well then how do I meet them emotionally? And it's like, you meet them by going, yeah, I understand you're in pain, and I can see that that's the thing that's guiding you. I can empathize with you in that way because I understand that that's the emotional process you're going through. You're in so much pain that this is what you're doing. But it's not okay, because now you've said some things that really hurt me, and what I need to not do, which is a part of this victim cycle, is continue to emotionally engage with this person, or continue to emotionally engage in this situation and think that the healing is going to come by focusing on the other person and by giving the space to the other person. Whether that be that softer, empathetic, like, oh, blah, 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 or whether that be, this person hurt me, this person said that thing, they did this, this is this. Both are still giving the emotional space to the other person outside of me. And what I've realized I need to be doing is actually creating that space for me emotionally. And, sitting in my pain doesn't look like this person said that, this person said this person treated me that way. Sitting in my pain is going, I feel hurt because what they said how they spoke to me and how they said I was being conflicts with my value of knowing that I was trying my best and I was really trying to help them. And I was offering them solutions, and they were telling me that none of them were working. And like, I feel unseen and I feel hurt because I just want them to get help. And in response to that, they told me that I was doing my job wrong, and they told me that I was being difficult, and they told me that I was making their life harder. And that hurts because that goes against a core value of mine, which is just, please, I just want to help you. So that made me feel invalidated, and that made me feel useless as a person. That's being in my feelings. And I need to I need to stop engaging with whatever that person's doing. Where I need to meet myself emotionally is with myself and only myself, and detaching from that person or the other situation completely. Like, not feeding into it. That's the way out. Because if this person needs compassion, which they often do, all of them do, all of us do. If I'm hurt, it's not my job. It's not my job in that moment to be the person to give them compassion. They need to do it. If they had a frustrating phone call where they truly believe that I was just making their life harder because the doctor that they want to get into doesn't have an appointment available the very next day because we're booked out in a week advance, and I'm trying everything that I can. I'm offering to triage them with a nurse. I'm offering an appointment with another doctor in the meantime. I'm offering them everything I can, and if that's just unhelpful to them, and if they need to end that phone call and go, fuck that girl, she just made my life difficult, I need to be with my emotions, then they need to do that. And I need to go and do the same thing. I need to take care of myself. The emotional space is not about them, it's about me. So I can lovingly depart, and I can go, how that person treated me isn't, again, it's not what I deserve, and I can understand that they're that way because they're in pain, but I also need to go and take a minute or two just to go, okay, you're good at your job, you tried your best, you're allowed to be hurt, and I need to not let it change me into what that was. Like, I don't know, like there's this interaction that is the part that really has highlighted the immaturity of it all, which is like I am met with resentment and victimization, and then it turns me into that very thing where I know that I have the power within me to turn it into something greater, because I don't want to. I see myself very often coming off a phone call just being like, oh, but Jesus Christ, and like feeling resentful towards that person, and like I don't want to be like that. I don't want to wish resentment and frustration on somebody that's already in enough of it. But I just allow it. And it's like, I need to be better, because then I just feed into that cycle. I feed into the cycle of continuing to antagonize myself with the pain and allow the emotional space that I should be giving to myself just be taken up by this resentful, antagonistic, victimized cycle that I need to not do that. I need to not do that. I need myself to be better than that. I need myself to get myself out of this problem, and I need to grow up, and in the most loving way possible. I need to be more emotionally mature. And I haven't faced myself in that way yet. Until now, until this morning. And I feel more secure. You know? Because it highlights another interaction that I have with this whole victimized emotional thing, which is like, I've experienced, there's a large portion of my life that I was invalidated and not, and like my emotions weren't seen by the people that needed to see them. And so whenever I do feel them, I do really easily flip into that victimized, all-encompassed feeling, because I'm like, there's a part of me that just gets unlocked. It's like, oh my God, you're finally seeing your feelings. You need to see them. You need to be encased by them all. And like, let's completely throw emotional responsibility out the window, because this part of you has just been starving for acknowledgement and validation. I can just plunge into that deep end, but it can be exhausting. Like it goes back to that, just feeding into that loop. It's feeding into that. The imagery that I get is at the end of The Little Mermaid, where, you know, she's trapped in that whirlpool in the ocean that Ursula stuck her into, and she's just at the bottom, and she's just in the bottom of this tornado, and the ocean is just swirling around her, and then Ursula's just like got the trident and she's like spearing her. That's what it feels like, I think, when you allow yourself to be completely encompassed by your emotions. Because that's often, the water around you, the emotions that are going around you just feel like they are eclipsing everything. And like, if you look through water, it always distorts things. I was taking a bath the other day and it was boiling hot water because I was getting sick and I just needed to like raise my body temperature, and like it felt so good. But my legs and like my body was in the water, even though like my body was trying to come up to temperature, and it was like burning, good burning, wasn't bad. And in the water, my legs looked calm and clear and like neutral, and then I would bring them out and they were red. And it's just this distortion that water can bring. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's often like, you know, emotions aren't logical, and they're not meant to be. Like, it's a strength, but it's also its greatest weakness. They're not logical, they're not linear, they don't make sense. They're not supposed to be anything but like complete feeling, something that is intangible, something that doesn't make sense, something just is what it is. And that is its purity, but it's also when you're trying to navigate something and your emotions are just at the forefront of your mind, like they distort, they create disillusionment, and you can't see past them, or the reality that you see when your emotions are in front of you is distorted. And I was just understanding that I was just in this cycle of chaos, and continually feeding into this thing of, I have no control over my environment, I'm feeling like this, it's these people that are the problem, and I'm at the mercy of this situation, I'm at the mercy of this cycle. And it's exhausting. You get to a point where you're just exhausted by that kind of being, by that kind of circumstance. And I'm always quite grateful for that exhaustion, because that exhaustion is what usually pushes me to be like, how do I get out of this? What can I do? And that's what pushed me to realize, like, oh, you're feeding into it. It's not these people, it's also you. You're doing exactly what they're doing, and you're allowing it. And now that I've seen that, I can do something about it. And I wanted to talk about it because it's what's taken me from a point of exhaustion and frustration with the world and why everything is happening, to a semblance of direction and understanding and empowerment around emotional responsibility. And I don't know, I know it's cancer season, so I know people are going to be feeling impacted by things, and you're going to be feeling like a victim of your circumstances, and it's okay, because that's a part of feeling. A part of feeling is receiving something, being like, oh my God, ow, or whoa, or like, oh. But it's also important to do something with that feeling, to recognize the feeling and feel it, and then to move through it and to see the point in it, and to see what it is trying to push you to do. And then also, it's also create boundaries to feel that feeling. You know, if you're in a situation, create space for yourself. Respect your emotions enough to give yourself time to feel them, and feel them. Don't just get frustrated over the situation. Don't get frustrated about how this person treated you or what they said to you. Give yourself space, and when you're in that space, make it about you. Make it about your feeling. Make it about the emotions that are in your body. Respect yourself enough to do that. Take the responsibility of your emotions into your own. Give them time. Honor them in that way. I've needed to. Otherwise, you just get resentful and you just get disillusioned by what actually is happening in your life. And you get disillusioned about what you're doing and the role that you play. You can really easily fall into victim and just go, I am impacted, I am at the mercy, so I can't do anything to get myself out of that, when that could not be further from the truth. You can always do something, and you're not invalidating yourself by taking responsibility for yourself, is what I'm understanding. You're not being cold, like you're being respectful towards yourself. You're honoring yourself when you are able to take your emotions and your experience into your own arms and care for it lovingly and resolve it with compassion and understanding and connection to either yourself or loved ones or things or experiences that heal you and stabilize you. Anyway, it's been half an hour and I've been waffling. Well, hopefully not waffling. Hopefully it's made sense. It's been a huge process for me, and I'm sure it would be for any other Leo risings or potentially any other Cancer moons, or because my moon's in my first house. It's the first planet, so it's a big thing. Anyway, Cancer season, Cancer Capricorn, emotional responsibility, emotional maturity. It's going to be coming up, and I hope that you not only have the bravery to feel your emotions, but the self-respect to take them into your own grasp and honor them and honor others by honoring yourself, and doing it in a way that just creates more balance in the world. That's the other thing that I think about, is that perpetuating that cycle, it's all you're doing. You're not making any change, you're not transmuting anything. And if anything, is what we just need to be trying to make it better, make it better for the world, for ourselves, for everything. So yeah, maybe that'll help, maybe it won't. I hope it does. Even one person. That's what I always think. Anyway, it's a long one. Have a good Cancer season. I might check back in. Maybe I won't. I don't know. I'm not going to make any promises. But thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If you've gotten all the way here, even if you only got to the 10-15 minute mark, thank you for getting there. Thank you for seeing me. Thank you for listening to me. And thank yourself for any part of this that might inspire growth or love within you for yourself.